Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenny, and I'm glad you're here. I am documenting my infertility journey. We have gone through IVF once before. That resulted in 2 pregnancies that ended in miscarriage. We have a beautiful baby boy that has entered our family through the gift of adoption, and we are currently trying to grow our family again through IVF a second time. So today our video is going to be all about why my husband and I chose not to have our embryos genetically tested, or to forego the PGS testing that was available to us. So if you don't already know, PGS testing is where they take the embryo, usually around day 5, as it is becoming a blastocyst, and they extract a few cells from that embryo and they test it for any genetic abnormalities. Of course, if it is a healthy embryo, usually what they'll do, if it's healthy, or it depends on the clinic. Our clinic, if it's healthy or if it is like comes back unknown, like it could be like a wild card, different reasons why that could happen, they will try those, and if it is not a healthy or normal embryo, they will what they call discard them. So that would be getting rid of them, and which I have a hard time with all of those words and phrases, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. But anyways, and they don't implant them. So as I said before, we have had 2 miscarriages. In our last time that we did IVF, we did 1 fresh transfer that we did not get pregnant, and then we did 2 frozen transfers. And both of those frozen transfers were successful, but unfortunately ended in miscarriage. So this time around, we definitely talked about testing our embryos to see, to make sure that we have some healthy, normal embryos. The doctor presented that option to us, and we talked a lot about it, and we prayed about it, and we decided that that was not the choice for us this pregnancy. And not the choice for us this IVF cycle. Hopefully it'll be this pregnancy. But anyways, and there are a few reasons why we chose to forego the PGS testing. So before I get into anything else, I do want to say that everyone has the right to choose what is best for their family, especially going through infertility and all of this totally unique and unusual situations. So if you are somebody who has decided that PGS testing is for you, and you do want to know if your embryos are genetically normal or not, I support you, and I think that's awesome, and that is your choice, and I respect it. So please do not think anything I'm about to say is to say that I don't support the idea of genetically testing embryos. I'm just going to explain why my husband and I chose not to genetically test our embryos. Okay, so getting started, the first and foremost reason why we chose not to, and it was the same reason we didn't test our embryos through our last IVF cycle, is that our perspective comes from our Christian background, and we believe that God ultimately decides when life begins and when life ends. And this is something that, a lot of people have asked, well, as a Christian, do you think IVF is okay, or should you not be interfering with God's plan? And that's kind of my response every time, is that if God does not want us to have a baby in our arms here on earth, then we're not going to have one no matter what we do. So if God wants to grow our family, then he will grow our family. It doesn't matter what we decide to do. So if we want to proactively try to conceive through IVF, then that's something that I don't think is wrong. I think that if it's just not the right timing for our family, God's gonna say no, and that's just the reality of the situation from what we believe. So with that being said, we believe that God decides when life ends. So to us, and that kind of goes along with kind of a sensitive topic, to us, if we were to get pregnant naturally and find out that there was something abnormal with our baby in utero, we would choose to carry through the pregnancy until it ended. And that is something that is a really hard and personal decision, and it's something that we pray we won't have to ever face, and we don't know, this is all hypothetical, we don't know how we would react in that actual situation. And if anyone else out there has ever had that situation or knows someone who's gone through that situation, please know that I totally understand terminating a pregnancy in that situation, and I have nothing but compassion and respect for anyone who's ever had to go through that. But for us, we in these hypothetical conversations would like to think that we would not make that choice. So when we have the embryos tested, to me and to my husband, we believe that life starts at conception when the sperm meets the egg. That's when we feel, when we have our embryos, those are our babies. And so we think that if we tested them and decided to discard, which again is a word because we think they're actual babies, discard, throw away, get rid of, those are all cringy terms to me, because to me those are babies. I wish there was a better word for it, a better way to express that. But anyways, if we chose to say never mind, to us it would feel like the same thing as terminating a pregnancy that was already happening inside of me. So that's one reason why we won't be testing our embryos. We would rather just kind of take our chances with them and see what happens. The next reason why is because after our last 2 miscarriages, our doctor had us take a test to make sure that chromosomally my husband and I were compatible. So we wanted to make sure that neither one of us had anything going on that would cause, when we created an embryo, would create those chromosomes to reverse. And we did that testing, and it came back that we were normal, and that was not the issue. We also, this time around, decided to go ahead and proactively do the genetic screening to see if we were carriers for anything that could be causing issues. And that came back. We met with a genetic counselor via Zoom or one of those video conferencing tools, and it came back that I am a carrier for 3 different diseases, and my husband is a carrier for 2 of them, but none of my 3 were all different from his 2, and none of them were the same. So the likelihood of us having a baby having one of those diseases was very unlikely. So we decided that after doing those testings that there were no red flags for why we should double check those embryos. The next reason why we're choosing not to is that my blood work at this, so we've changed doctors for this round of IVF strictly because of insurance reasons, and she wanted to run her whole new panel of blood work, and she also wanted to test for some reasons why I might have had recurrent miscarriages. And so when she did the testing, my previous doctor did not do those testings simply because he was going to treat me for them anyway. So he was trying to save us the hassle and the money of having to go through those extra tests when he was going to treat me for them anyways, if that makes sense. This doctor wanted to know for sure if I had them or not before she treated me. And different doctors, different procedures and protocols, and so I don't know if one's better than the other, but I do know that one blood work that she ran on me, one blood test, I don't know, anyways, one of the blood tests came back for a blood clotting factor that might, so there it, the way she explained it, and this was all a really long explanation over a video conference, so I'm trying to explain it kind of the way she explained it to me, but there is a spectrum of numbers, and my number for this particular disorder that would cause me to have miscarriages was on the high end of normal. So it was borderline. So she wants me to test again in 3 months. That's their protocol. If that happens, they want to test again in 3 months to see if it's back in that more normal range, or if it's still elevated or in the positive category. So I will be doing that again before we do a transfer in a couple of months now. This has been a couple of months since she's done this blood work on me. But anyway, so there is a possibility that there could be something, I could have some kind of a blood clotting disorder that caused the miscarriages, and if that is the case, it can be treated in the next pregnancy. And the other thing, when she did my blood work, came back about my thyroid, and I am now on a thyroid medication, and she did say that sometimes if there's something going on with the thyroid, that can cause miscarriages, and so now I'm on a thyroid medication which should also help with preventing loss. So the final reason we are choosing not to have our embryos genetically tested is the cost of doing so. And this is, I put this one last because this one is the least important to me, because when we talked about it and we considered and we did consider having them tested. It wasn't a black and white yes or no. There was a lot of gray area and a lot to discuss and think about when we made our decision. And so the kind of final deciding factor that was the least important but was a factor was the cost of it, because IVF is incredibly expensive, and the testing of the embryos is not covered at all by insurance. And that was going to be at our clinic or to the facility they send the embryos to for the genetic testing. It was going to be $5,000 to, at the very least, to test the embryos. And when we're already spending a lot of money trying to grow our family, we've spent money through our last round of IVF and our transfers. We spent money on our adoption, and none of this, we would not trade any of this for a single penny. But we have spent a lot of money trying to grow our family, and we are spending money on the next round of IVF. And so with all of the before mentioned reasons why we aren't testing our embryos, that was kind of like the final, this is the right choice for us to not do the testing. Because of all of those things, it just wasn't worth spending the money when the odds are that at least a couple of embryos hopefully will be genetically normal, and at the end of this process we will have a biological child, and if we don't, we will move forward. I don't know what that will look like. We'll cross that bridge if we have to come to it, but yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Those are our reasons to not genetically test our embryos. And again, I just want to say, if you are out there going through this journey, or you know somebody who's going through this journey, or you think you will ever go through this journey yourself, please know that just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean that your feelings and opinions on the matter are not valid. So please do what is best for you and your family. All right, guys, if you like these kind of videos, please give me a like on this video, so that lets me know to do more sit-down informational type videos with you guys. And if you would like to continue following and supporting and encouraging our journey, you can subscribe, and I will be uploading videos. I'm hoping for at least once a week, and if I can, twice a week, but at least once a week is my goal. Also, if you want up-to-date updates as they are happening, please go follow me on Instagram, and I'd love to interact with you over there too, or in the comments here. So yeah, I guess I will talk to you guys next time. All right, guys, bye.